Oh, excuse me. You caught me in the middle of my creation moment. Yes, I was using the Force to create an image of a world that I would love to live in. You know, we can all do that because we all have the Force. There's only one problem in today's world, though, and that is we've polarized the Force. That we see that there's a positive and a negative side, a light side and a dark side, an attractive side and a repulsive side, and we make polarities. And the problem of making polarities is very simple, and that is this. Polarities clash with each other. They're opposites, and when they come together, they devastate each other. They don't add up to anything. You take a positive wire and a negative wire and you touch them together, nothing happens from that. It's bringing them together in harmony, not as polar units. I say, well, then we've looked at the universe ever since Newtonian science as a universe divided, a divided energy universe separate from a matter universe. And all the world's conflicts have at some level been actually based on the conflict between polarities facing each other, the light versus the dark. That's the Jedi versus the Sith. And the whole idea is this is war, this is competition, this is conflict, this is annihilation. This is not what we want. Polarities separate us and then make us fight against each other. But it's an illusion that there's separateness. It was an illusion. As a matter of fact, 10,000 years ago, the people on this planet saw that it was an illusion. They recognized that the invisible energy world and the physical matter world were all one and the same. You couldn't separate them. It was a wholeness. And then we started to come into separation where the church took us and said, no, the spiritual energy end is the higher form, the material end is the low form that you don't want to get involved with. And then later Darwinian theory comes in and replaces that and said, no, the material matter is the higher form and the energy is not even important at all. And we've been separating matter and energy ever since. It's a Newtonian composition that the world or the universe is comprised of two separate elements. Separation, the illusion of separation, the cause of competition. The competition leads to violence, and the violence leads to war. The idea of polar opposites is destructive. For example, in creating that universe, you know, it isn't just attraction, but repulsion is required at the same time. Why? If it was just attraction, all the planets will be sucked into the sun. If it's repulsion, only all the planets will be blown out into space. So what's the net result? You have to have a certain amount of attraction and an equal amount of repulsion to keep the planets in their very stable position. You cannot have a universe with just attraction or just repulsion. You can't have a universe with just light or just dark. It's all one. All one? Nice philosophical idea. And I go, no, transcend philosophy on this one. The most valid science on this planet is quantum mechanics, quantum physics. I say, why is it relevant? Because the underlying principle of quantum physics, as distinct from Newtonian physics, is in the quantum universe, everything is one. It's only the illusion of separation. There's no separation. Everything is energy. There's invisible energy, and there's energy that appears to have material structure to it, but it's all energy. And why this becomes important is the idea of polarities is actually, as quantum physics reveals, simply an illusion, but a quite destructive illusion, because when two polarities clash, it leads to annihilation. So what's really important? Well, we have to start recognizing what we perceive as light and dark universes are actually the same universe. And when we bring these visions together, attraction and repulsion in harmony, positive and negative in harmony, light and dark in harmony, the word harmony alone is what we're talking about. Wholeness, completeness, and understanding. And the problem with this is when we start to deal with light versus dark, then we turn back to the old ages of competition. Interestingly, supporting this duality is the nature of our own brain. We have two hemispheres, a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere. We see them as distinct and separate entities. The left hemisphere, intellect, logic. The right hemisphere, emotions, feelings. And I go, well, why is this relevant? I say, because if you're operating from one hemisphere, you're missing the character of the other hemisphere. A world based on intellect alone, a Jedi world, well, it looks interesting, but is it worth living in? A A world based on emotions, such as the Sith world? Well, what would that look like? Well, emotions flare up. That's kind of a dangerous situation alone. When we see the universe as separate entities, we're setting up a situation of destruction, one against the other. But when we bring them together, when they start to harmonize and work together, right and left hemispheres coming together is called a whole brain function. And with the whole brain function, there's tremendous power of creativity and expression of life. And so what we have to recognize, as the quantum physicist said, is stop looking at polarities and start recognizing unity. And when you start to recognize the unity, then it becomes important to say, are you taking a polar position on this gradient? Are you on the one side and looking at the other side as being quite different? I say, why is this relevant? Because if you're only on one side, all you see is the information from one side. If you're on the other side, you see completely different information, but it's only the information on your side. What's the point? You're splitting information in half. What's the problem? Knowledge is power. The more information you have, the more power you have. So if you're on one end of a pole or the other of the pole, you've already cut out half the information in the field. You know where you want to be? In the center of the gradient. Why? Because you can look left and see what's going on out there, and then you can look right and see what's going on out there. And with both informations available to you, you can synthesize something much greater than either the left or the right. And so it becomes important for us to recognize we're facing an evolution on this planet right now. And that evolution is an evolution in consciousness. And that consciousness evolution, as a prime directive in that, is very simple. Forget the polarity. Own the unity. The unity brings us all together as one. The polarity is separation, and separation is destruction. So a new world is evolving, a new culture. It's not just intellectual, it's not just emotional, it's not just Jedi or Sith. It's a combination of the two coming together, enhancing each other with each other's powers. There's harmony, balance as a result. And when you have harmony and balance, that solar system moves so sweet and makes such music. And that's what we're looking for in our world. So in conclusion, what's so important is let us work together to bring balance back to the force. In balance, there's harmony, there's music, there's love. And that's the world that we're all seeking. So let's work together and create that future. May the force be with you.